Ethan decided to come with me and my dad, Mark. We are going to be going on the north side field, that's what we call it, because it's on the north side of my parents' property and my house. We are going to be going out and seeing this field. Hi, Abby. So this is a field where where cows that were pregnant were put after they were seen by the vet. And so there are cows out here that have babies that are still pretty young. There are cows out here that are still pregnant. And we've got some cows out here that have just recently had a baby. So we will see a lot of small cows out here in this field, and hopefully we'll be able to see some little itty bitty tiny babies. And we had to wait a little bit because it was really foggy this morning. And so now the fog has lifted pretty well, but there's some patches still out here where we'll have to get a little bit closer to see, make sure that we're not missing anything. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and turn you around so we can kind of check things out. So when we checked the cows last week, there were calves out in the field that had tags in their ears and calves that didn't have tags in their ears. The tags mean that they've seen the vet, that they've been worked, and so that means that they've gotten their shots, all that good stuff. So out here, most of the calves that you're going to see do not have tags. They haven't been worked. There might be a couple of calves that do have some tags, and that means that whenever the vet came out, the calves were really little and really small, so we put them on this side of the field where the new babies were going to be born. So we've got some protein tubs that are out. Remember, the protein tubs are used because they have extra vitamins and nutrients in it so that the cows can get those things during the winter time. Just helps them to stay more healthy. Remember, if you have any questions about anything as we're going along, like, oh, what kind of cow is that black cow? Or what kind of cow is that red cow? You can ask in the comments. And if I don't know the answer off the top of my head, I'll ask Dad. There are lots of different kinds of cows out here right now. We have a pretty good mix of things. So there's going to be a lot of different colors, some different sizes. Some of them are great big and fat. Some of them are pretty tall and skinny. Here are a bunch of babies that are all just hanging out. Carter, that's really cool. One of my friend's kids his dad works for Purina that makes the tubs.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
They call them cow candy. Oh, go up to see that fuzzy one, the red one. I like this little calf up here.
Oh, that's one of the twins.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So,
Mama raised.
yeah, so this cow right here, this is Mama, right?
Yeah.
So this red cow right here is a cow that had twins. And if you'll remember the little, what's it called? What's the name of the calf? I don't know. The little red one, bobby calf that Mom has been feeding that we did the video earlier. We said that she was a twin. Well, there is the other twin. So that is a little sibling for the bottle calf that we have in the barn. And it's really, really unusual for cows to have more than one baby at a time. And they just don't really do well with taking care of more than one baby at a time. And that's one of the reasons that they had to give that calf, the twin, the extra help that it got. Okay, that worked out well.
Years ago, we had triplets one time.
Oh, Dad said that years ago they had a cow that had triplets. You just had one time when that's happened? Yeah, it's only been one time in Dad's entire life of being out on the farm and having cows that they've had a cow that's had triplets.
And cows every once in a while have quads, but it's about 1 in a million if I remember right.
He said that every once in a while a cow will have quadruplets or 4 babies, but the chances of it are really, really low, like 1 in a million. When it happens, you usually see it in the news. So this field is a really large and long field, kind of like what we went through the other day, that stretches out from the east side of the property over to the west side. So there,
40 acres on this side.
okay, Dad said it's 240 acres on this side, so it's bigger in area than the field that we went into last week. Oh, Abby asked if you know if they are having twins before they have them.
If you had the veterinary do an ultrasound, they could tell.
He said that, Abby, Dad said that if you have a veterinary do an ultrasound, they can tell before they have it. Kind of like whenever a woman is pregnant, you can go to the doctor and get an ultrasound. But that, we don't do that out here. There might be some places that do that, but it doesn't happen very often. That's a good question, Abby. There's a little black calf over here. It's kind of hard to see against the timber. He's pretty new. He's a little guy. Hi, Cam. Hi, baby.
It's licking its tongue. It's hungry.
Yeah, you can see that the calf is licking and sticking his tongue out and licking its nose. That means that he's hungry. So here before long, he'll probably be bawling for his mama. Cows usually stay pretty close to their babies, but sometimes they get far away. But they're pretty protective. So if we have to come out in the field and give a calf a shot because it's sick and the calf starts bawling, the mama cow knows its baby and she'll come running. So we have to kind of keep our eyes open and make sure that we're staying safe, because mom cows are very protective of their babies.
That's the mother right there.
This one right here? Here's the mom of that baby.
She's looking at it.
Oh, yep. See, so the baby's back there behind us that we just saw. And there's mama. See, she's checking him out. She's got an eye on him. Carter, the only calves or cows that get names around here on our farm are the ones that mom will raise on a bottle. We have a lot of cows and calves out here, and it's really just too many to try to name them, and it would be kind of hard to keep track of them as they grow up. And when we have the calves, remember, we go ahead and we sell them at a sell barn after they've been weaned, so they don't stay around for too long. Now, we do have a couple of cows that maybe got hurt and stayed in the lot for a while, and because they're more familiar with us and we're more familiar with them, we might give them a name. But we name all of our other animals, like the cats and the dogs and the ducks. So this is one of the creeks that runs through the property. It's pretty high right now. Normally it doesn't run this much and it's not this muddy, but yeah.
Hold on.
Ethan says, hold on. Hi, Cam. I'm glad we got to catch you this morning. It's a little bit later in the day, so we were able to see you this morning. that's over here, kind of all by herself by the trees. We're gonna go check her out. I was kind of hoping that we might see one over here that was going to have a baby, because a lot of times whenever cows kind of go off to themselves and they go out here in the timber, they are getting ready to have a calf, or they just had a calf. They like to be kind of private, but that cow is just kind of hanging out on her own.
A lot of times the mother will, after she goes in the timber and has a calf, she'll keep the calf for 2 or 3 days to herself and kind of bond with it. The good mother will do that, keep it away from everybody else, all the other cows.
So Dad said that what cows do, they go down into the timber when they're ready to have a calf, and when they have a calf, and then the good moms, the good cow moms, will actually stay down in the timber or stay down out of the way by themselves with their baby calf for 2 or 3 days to bond with it. So they'll stay away from the other cows. All the way over behind my house, because I have fields surrounding my house. So if you saw the video last week when we were looking at the donkeys and the goats at my house, this is the field that's right behind me. Tend to kind of stay in big, large groups. So this is a spot up here on this hill where the cows are all kind of congregating right now. They move around during the day and go to different spots. There's a little guy. So this cow right here is part Brahma. So she looks a little bit different than the other cows. She's got that great big ears and has kind of a funny looking head. It's a lot taller than the other cows. I don't really like them because they tend to jump over the fences when we're trying to work them. They're not my favorite. I prefer the Longhorns because they're pretty chill. There's some babies that are over there just lying out in the field.
Sometimes there'll be a mother, maybe 4 or 5 babies. She'll kind of babysit with them.
Dad said that sometimes there's going to be one mom that you might see on the field with 4 or 5 babies around them, and she's just kind of babysitting, kind of watching over them.
There's one, here's a calf here that's 2 or 3 days old right here.
So this little calf that's that we're kind of going towards, the one that's laying down, he's just 2 or 3 days old. He's pretty young. He has some problems with his front feet. They're not straightening out like they should, so he can still kind of stand up and get around, but you can kind of see how he's on his tiptoes. So we're going to keep an eye on him and watch him.
Put brace on it.
Yeah, Dad said we may end up needing to put some kind of brace on it. But you can see that Mom is pretty protective of him. She's watching out for him, kind of keeping an eye on where he's at. Poor guy. nature. Sometimes you'll have animals that when they're born there might be something wrong with it, just like with that calf, his front feet weren't quite right, and hopefully they'll kind of straighten out on its own and it'll be okay. But when you're a farmer, you have to keep watch for those kinds of things, and if you can help them, you do everything that you can to try to help them. So like Dad said, we may need to get some kind of brace for that calf, or it might be something if he can't walk around, he may end up coming back down to the lot so we can feed him and help him.
This is last night or this morning.
So this little guy right here, this tan cow with the little calf that's laying down, Dad said that this guy was born last night or this morning. It was born after he checked him. So when calves are born, they can get up and they can start walking just right away, and they need to be able to do that so they can get up and start eating from their mom. They drink milk from their moms. Cows have udders. Oh, there he goes. You can kind of see, well, maybe you can see on his belly, there's a spot, it looks like a piece of string that's hanging down. That's part of his umbilical cord. That's how he was able to get nutrients whenever he was inside the mom. It's the navel, excuse me. So that eventually dries up and falls off. You can see the tan cow straight across. That's her with the new baby, and they're walking together. She's didn't really like us getting too close to her, so now she's gonna walk on down. She's being protective of her baby. New calves that are out here in this field. How many cows do you have?
In this field?
Yeah, in this field.
I think there's about 90.
Said that in this field there's around 90 cows that are out here. Oh, there's bull. Down by the timber. Oh, here's another bull. This bull is a tame bull, so Dad likes to feed him. So this bull is not much taller, or really not even taller than some of the other cows, but oh, Dad said that this is actually a bull that Mom raised. So he's really friendly. He's one of the lucky boys that got to stay on the farm after Mom raised him on the bottle. What? Oh, look. Now all the ones that are familiar with grain want to come up. This is another bull. And most of these cows are not going to be tame enough that they'll eat out of his hand, but they know what grain is, so they'll come and they'll try to scavenge from the ground where it's dropped on the ground. Yep. See? that's one of the ways that we'll get the cows in. Like whenever it's time for us to work the cows or work the calves, we have to get them into the lot, down into the barn, because they have to go through a special thing called a chute. So that way they're locked into a space and we can work on them one at a time. So that's a big adventure because we have to go out in the field and call them, and we usually put grain in the barn, there in the lot, and then we have to go out with the four-wheelers and the side-by-side, and we have to run them all into the barn. And some cows are really familiar with the routine and they know where to go and they know what to do, and some cows know what's happening but they don't really like it. So here's a baby, and he's getting milk from his mom now. He's nursing. So a cow has 2 udders, and that's where milk comes from. So that's going to be the main way that calves get their nourishment when they're young. Just like human babies drink milk, the baby calves drink milk too, and they get it from their mom. Oh, and here comes this cow. And this is one of the longhorns that we talked about with the really great big horns. All the calves are looking pretty good today so far. We're not seeing any droopy heads or droopy ears. If we see that, that means we've got to holler at my brother Sean so he can come out and help Dad give a shot. So these calves are, oh, that's a really pretty one. That's a really solid black and white one. He's cute. That one.
That's a part belted Dexter.
Oh, Dad said that this calf right here that I said was really cute is part belted Dexter, and this is his mom. So they look pretty similar as far as their colors go and the patterns go. But the way a calf will look, like its color and its size, will depend on what kind of cow the mom is, and it'll also depend on what kind of bull the dad was. Not so much today. So you can see that they're all spread out there in the field up on the hill. This morning when I came outside, they were all down by my house, down in the timber. Well, I wouldn't say all, but probably most of these that are up here on top of this hill now were down kind of by my house. And they just make their rounds throughout the day. There's a pond that's over here, and here's a second pond. So there are ponds and the creek throughout. Oh, that's funny. So, hang on. So, Dad just mentioned, so you can see here on the ground where the ground is all torn up. It looks like somebody's been scraping at it. This is where the bulls have been fighting. So sometimes the bulls will get mad with each other and they're gonna bellow at each other and butt heads and paw at the ground. Well, that's the spot where they've done it recently. Tore up the ground from where they were scraping their hooves against the wet grass.
When they fight each other, they butt heads.
Yep, Dad said whenever they fight each other, they butt heads. Well, there are 3 babies down there with their moms.
Just because I put the cows, that doesn't mean they should, because you never can trust an animal.
So Dad wanted to tell you to make sure that you know that just because you saw him petting the cows doesn't mean that that's something that you should go out and do. So if you're walking along sometime by a field, like if you're out on the trail, there on DD and you see some cows out in the field, you know, just because you saw Mark going and petting a cow, that doesn't mean that's something that you should try to do.
Especially if they've got a baby.
Yeah, especially if they have a baby.
They'll come after you.
Yeah, the cows are really protective of their babies, and if they see you as a stranger or as a threat, they might chase after you. Now, the reason that Dad can do it is because he's out here every single day checking the cows and talking to them, and they're used to him. And he talks to them as he goes up to them. And you'll notice he's not trying to go up and see all of the cows. There are some cows that are more friendly than others, and some that are really not friendly at all. So because he knows them well, he knows which ones are the friendly ones and which ones are not. Okay. No, get back in. Nope. I don't have anything for you. So Dad put some feed out and he's calling them, so now you can see all the cows are getting excited. Gotta start coming in. I don't have anything for you, hon. This one's smart. She decided to get it out of the back of the trunk. Oh, there's a really big Texas Longhorn. Some baling twine that goes around a hay bale. So remember we talked about how he rolls out the bales of hay to help the cows get their hay. So sometimes that twine gets left behind, so we need to get that picked up, because when the grass starts growing, the grass will grow through it, and then it'll become really difficult for us to pull it up. I think he said tomorrow he's going to feed some hay, so hopefully it'll be dry enough and we'll go out with him, and you can take a ride along in the tractor with us, and you can see what it's like to ride in the tractor and feed some hay. So there's the back of my house over there, and up here you can see the silo as we go over home. So the silo is down where Mom and Dad's house is, and that's where we came from this morning. The field that we were in yesterday, well, no, not yesterday, last week, is on the south side of my house. It's over that way.
Someday we might go over to one of the other farms.
Okay. So Dad said that one of these days, maybe next week, we might go over to one of the farms that's over at Shawnee Mountain. We have some land over there that Mom and Dad own, and then there's some land over there that we rent from someone else.
And I do that every day.
Yep. Dad checks all of the fields and all of the cows every day. Oh, there's a little guy there. Huh? It's fine. I got it. So this is the part of the field that we were at before, where we came up that, or went through the creek where it was really sloppy. So we're gonna go back down through it because we've checked the cows that are up here in this field. And we'll go back down and go back across. There's another pond down there. And there's some more grass over on the other side of that pond, on the other side of the creek, but the cows don't seem to be out there today, or at least right now. Buckled in. Aren't you? So again, it's pretty nice to have a side-by-side, because when we come out and check cows before on the four-wheeler, trying to go through a muddy mess like that, we would be able to get through it, but it would get mud all over the place and all over our feet. So throughout the fields, we have different kinds of fencing. This is barbed wire fence, and so there's smooth wire, and then alongside it there's parts that stick out that are sharp. They're not super sharp, but it's enough that it would scratch you or rip your clothes if you climb over it. So this is one way that you put fencing up to keep cattle in one area. And there are gates throughout, so that way we can close off different areas. Right now everything is open in the north field, so the cows can get all in different places, but sometimes we'll close it up so they can only be in one spot. Here's another bull. Some of the different fencing that we use, we have some wire panels, and they don't have the barbs on it like the barbed wire fence does. So a lot of times the bulls are a little bit nicer, at least to people. Sometimes they get cranky with the other bulls, but they're nicer just because they're bigger and more laid back. Not always. So let's go look at this barbed wire fence real quick. Meh. So this is what the barbed wire fence looks like. It's got, let me see if I can, there you go. It has sharp points on it right there. So that's to discourage the cows from getting through. We usually have 5 of these wires that are strung up. Sometimes the cows will still decide that they want to jump over it. Oh, these cows think it's feeding time. Sometimes we have cows that really like to jump, and they'll jump over it, or they'll push through it. Like if it looks like there's more grass on the other side of the fence, they might try to jump over it or push through it. So then you have to go through and you have to repair the fence. It's pretty new. So when we were up in this field earlier, there was a calf that was kind of over by itself, and we said, oh, and there's his mama down there. Well, she's made, oh, it's a different one, Dad says. Well, Mom and baby are together. All right, Dad said that this calf that's up here is about a month old. When will we work these? How old will they be?
They'll probably be about 3 months old.
Dad said we'll probably work these calves when they're around 3 months old or so. 2 to 3 months. Told you about that's smooth. It's like a bunch of little squares that are put together. There it is. This is the kind of paneling that we have up around our house, and it looks like there used to be some barbed wire through here, but it's pretty old and has been stretched out and broken and repaired, so we put the wire panels up to make it extra sturdy. So around us we have other neighbors who are farmers that also have cattle. So that fence that we just saw back there is the property line. So our cows are on one side of it, and then our neighbors have cows on the other side of it. And every once in a while our cows will have one or two that'll jump the fence or go through the fence and get onto the neighbor's property, and sometimes they'll come over to our property. And so when that happens, we usually give our neighbor a call and say, hey, black cow with a yellow tag number 87 is out. And sometimes they'll go back on their own, but sometimes we need to chase them back into their field and where they need to go. Oh, which one? Oh, yeah. This is another one right here that Mom raised as a bottle baby. You can see it has a number 1 on its tag. Hi, buddy. She would probably be able to tell you its name. I'm sure she would. I don't know who it is. Do you know what its name is? Yeah. Oh, you think it's Bucky? Okay. Dad thinks his name is Bucky, which would make sense because he was just pushing his head over on Dad, trying to get more feed. Huh? Yeah. See, he's used to Dad, so it's real friendly with him, but didn't really like me. He's not used to me, so when I was talking, he was kind of bouncing around a little bit. He didn't quite know what to think of me. Normally pretty quiet. You're not going to hear them bawling too much just on a normal day. Like, I think that was the first cow back there that I've heard bawling. Well, there's Bull. He's going to bawl a little bit.
This is another one we raised.
Oh, here's another bull that we raised that just went behind us. Now, cows will start bawling if we come out and we're working to get them in the lot, like if it's time to have the vet come out and see them, or if it's time for us to sort the calves that are big enough to be weaned, or if we're moving them to another field. You're going to hear a lot of noise then, because the cows are kind of worried and they're calling after their calves and they're trying to keep track of their babies. All this yellow that's out here that looks like it's a line, this is where hay has been fed and rolled out. Oh, there's another one that Mom raised. That's number 2 on his tag. I'm guessing they were born at the same time or in the same season. calves that Mom has raised as bottle calves. So they're more used to people than the other cows are. Do you want to go anywhere else? Huh? Okay, why don't you go ahead and stop then. Alright, so that's most of the field. We are back to where we started. Going through the gate, you can see kind of just one area, how they're all spread out. We saw a lot of calves today, a lot of cows. I hope everybody enjoyed watching. I'll turn you around. So if you have any questions about anything, you can always come back and comment on this, and Dad will answer any questions. Dad, did you want to say anything? Say bye.
We'll see you later, kids, and be good. Do your homework if you've got any. If you don't, you need to study. So you'll be ready to go back to school. And we'll see you later. So happy trails until we meet again.
Ethan, did you want to say anything?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, he's just along for the ride. All right, bye guys. We'll see you tomorrow.